Well, good morning and welcome back to the channel. And you join me today somewhere slightly different. We are on a little lane just outside Starport on 7, and I'm going to jump on the bike and tell you all about where we're going to go today. So this is the main road from Starport that goes onto the Worcester dual carriageway. Not that that is itself particularly interesting, but just for the locals to let you know where we are. And today I'm going to go down, well, you could call it memory lane really. A little trip to where it all began for me, both on bikes and cars, and that is down this lane here, Lincoln Lane. Now if you think the usual lanes that we go on are smallish, well, you ain't seen nothing yet, because these are quite tight. And this is these are the roads where I learnt both to drive a car and ride a bike, because this is where I used to live. So I thought I'd have a little pilgrimage today back to where I was born. And look at that, isn't that lovely? The dappled light. I genuinely haven't been down here for probably 20 years. And it's going to be quite an emotional little trip, I think, actually. Seeing the places where I used to ride not just my bike and drive a car, but also where I learned to ride a push bike. Now this little junction here, the first memory I've got actually is just around about here where that gate is. I was around about, this would have been about 1968, and I was in the car with my dad, and I came along here and there was an accident, and we soon realised that the accident was my brother, my half-brother John, who was on his motorbike. And I was trying to rack my brains trying to think what bike it was. It would have been an old British bike, but I'm not too certain what it was. But he'd come off the bike, no helmet, no gloves. Those were the days. And yeah, he cut himself up quite badly, and we had to take him to the doctors, and that was my first introduction really to motorbikes. I just pull over here and let this car through. Yeah, so we took him all the way to the doctors in the town of Starport. Well, it's only a couple of miles down the road, and got him patched up. And this little place here, this is Lincoln, L-I-N-C-O-M-B, as I always used to say. Oh, this is memories. It seems even smaller than I remember it. Isn't that strange? This little S-bend here, this is where I used to ride my push bike around. And down here we're going to go and try and find the cottage. Well, I'll find it, try and film the cottage where I was born. And one of my first experiences along this lane would have been riding my bike, and it would have been a rally chopper. I don't know if anybody can remember those. I'm sure you can. I absolutely loved that bike. And I had a Mark 1 rally chopper, and it was a green one. Now, a lot of people forget that there was a green. There was an orange, a yellow, but there was also a green. Oh, we've got some horses there chasing us. Yeah, and I had the metallic green one. As you can see, these lanes are definitely single track. And this area here is called Winnell Springs. Well, area, it's one house really. Winnell Springs. And there is actually a spring And down there, a little waterway, as you can see. We'll go up here and try and find the cottage where I was born. Obviously it was, I've been wondering actually, riding along these, thinking about these lanes, whether that's where my sort of love for scrambler bikes has come now. Not that I used to have a scrambler bike back in those days, but it's strange, isn't it? But this bike, the CL500, really would be absolutely ideal for riding around these lanes. That wall never used to be there. That is new. Now this is a corner where my dad was hit by a post office van. Accident so far, isn't it? That's all I remember. Yeah, my dad was along there in his Ford Corsair, and a post office van came tearing around that corner and went straight into us on the way to school. Now this is a lane, oh gosh, it's tarmacked. I don't believe it. This lane right here is actually now where I would call my home ground, because this is not actually a public road. This is a private byway. So my dad used to teach me to drive along here when I was probably about 9 or 10 years old. I used to take over the steering of the Ford Corsair, sat on his lap, and I learnt to drive along here. And later on I'd stand up and try and use the pedals as well. Oh, they're growing beans over there. This has changed so much. This road used to be completely rutted, untarmacked, unfinished. Now it's like, well, it's incredible. And that's where my sister used to live. God, this has changed so much. This used to be in the most rutted, potholed little lane you could ever imagine, and this is where as I said, I learned to ride a push bike, and second nature to me. I'll come up this bank. Yes, it's all tarmac now. That is incredible. There's a pheasant there. And inside there is a pond, inside that area there, which I used to play at quite regularly, much to the chagrin of my parents. Oh, and there's horses in the field. That used to be a ploughed field. And this, oh, private road. Wow. That, ladies and gentlemen, is where I was born. That cottage behind there, which is now made a private road. Right, I'm going to get off and have a little explore around here and see what I can see. Well, the CL looks most at home here, isn't it? This is so different from what I remember it in my day. And that's the cottage there that I used to live at. That one right there looks very, very different from when I was here. Incredibly different. Barely recognisable. And this little lane here used to be just a dirt road. There's no tarmac anywhere around this area. Absolutely incredible. beautifully manicured now, drains fitted, and that was Winnell House, the big house that was our sort of next door neighbour. Just open the visor. Yes, and that was our land inside there behind that hedge. I say it wasn't anywhere near as posh as this. Nowhere near. The cottage itself has been absolutely transformed. And those barns down there, which you can see, I'm probably trespassing at the moment. Those are now luxury houses with, you can see they've got these solar panels on and everything. Those used to be empty barns where I used to play. I used to play around in those. Well, let's get back on the bike and just go down the caravan park road here a little bit and see what I can find. I feel almost like I'm trespassing, which I probably am, but it feels so weird not to feel comfortable around this area. This is where I was brought up and I used to play as a kid, and now that's a holiday home park. And this land to my right here, this used to be our own land, all of this. Not anymore. And that's the big house that used to be the clubhouse, and still is, to the holiday home park. Used to be a bar in there and a pub and everything. How amazing. Absolutely stunning. God, I wish I still owned it now. Unfortunately, my dad got elderly, and living out here in the middle of nowhere wasn't really good. Yeah, that was the road that I used to go on now, a private road. So I better not go along it, I suppose. That used to be the main road, but it's all been changed now. They've made it a private road. And this area here, I remember one of these snowy winters where from side to side here across the hedgerows, from the top of the field there, it had snowed that much that it was 6, 7, 8 feet deep of snow, and my dad was trapped here for about a week, tried to dig himself out of this bank. I've got photographs where he dug himself out of the bank. Absolutely amazing, the transformation. Just stopped on the lane here to have a little bit of a closer look, and to say this has been taken over by the horsey set, this area, the understatement of all time. That view, and this is where I was lucky enough to play back in the day. Just had some riders passing by up there, as you can see in the distance, and that's the view from the other side of the lane. And that cottage there was where my sister lived with her husband. This hasn't changed that much at all, but the actual village itself, well, village, it's not a village, it's not even a hamlet, unrecognisable. There it is down there as it goes into the distance. Yes, so there we are. Well, if it's a better bike for for exploring these lanes. I'd like to know it. The CL's doing fantastic. I took off in second then, absolutely no problem. So there it is. That's a quick look around the place of my youth, where I was born. And this is the lane that I learned to drive on and ride a bike on. But trust me, it was not. It did not look like this. As I said, it was a completely rutted, bumpy track, no tarmac whatsoever. Very different. We've even got speed bumps along here now, can you believe it? Speed bumps. But I hope you enjoyed that. And once I get round the post office van crash corner, which I mentioned earlier, I will say goodbye to you. Thanks very much for watching. I hope this has been enjoyable to watch. Beautiful day today, and we haven't got many days left, so I'm going to make the most of it and try and film lots and lots of little trips. So thanks for being with me, and I'll see you again in the next one. Bye for now.